Sometimes you watch a football game and it's just a high-flying shootout, points all over the place. And other times you get a brutal, grinded-out slugfest where every single yard is a fight. That is exactly what we got in Cleveland, a game that looked like a sure thing, a guaranteed loss for the home team, right up until that final quarter. So how in the world did the Browns pull this off? Let's break down one of the wildest comebacks you're going to see all season. Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, for 3 entire quarters, that's 45 minutes of football, the Cleveland Browns offense was completely non-existent. We're talking 0 points on the board. Against a team like the Packers, that's supposed to be game over. It should be a death sentence. But man, this game had a final act that absolutely nobody saw coming. All right, look at this. This final score tells the entire story. The Packers slowly, methodically built a 10-point lead, while the Browns had a big old goose egg next to their name for 3 quarters. And then, bam! The fourth quarter happens. 13 unanswered points to just snatch the victory away at the very end. So how on earth did we get here? Well, it all started with an absolute wall of defense. So let's dive into part one, the defensive duel. Because seriously, to even understand this comeback, you have to appreciate just how dominant both defenses were. For the first 45 minutes, this wasn't about offense at all. It was about pure, old-school defensive force. Think about this for a second. After a full 30 minutes of NFL football, the grand total of points on the scoreboard was 3. Just a single field goal from Green Bay. That's it. Both offenses were just completely shut down, totally neutralized. And you want to know why the offenses couldn't get anything going? Because the quarterbacks were running for their lives. The defensive lines combined for 7 sacks in this game, and the Browns' defense got to Jordan Love 5 of those times. It's kind of hard to get any rhythm going when you're constantly picking grass out of your helmet. And what's the result of all that pressure? You get a punt fest. 11 total punts. Drive after drive just completely stalled out. For most of this game, you could have made the argument that the punters were the busiest guys on the field, and that tells you everything you need to know about this defensive battle. Okay, so that brings us to the final 15 minutes. This is the situation. The Packers managed to find the end zone once, and they're holding on to a 10-0 lead. Now, in a high-scoring game, 10 points is nothing, but in a game like this, a 10-point lead felt like 100. It just seemed totally insurmountable for a Browns offense that hadn't done a single thing all day. But then, something just clicked. The fourth quarter started, and it felt like the entire script of the game got thrown out the window and rewritten on the fly. Let's get into part 2, the comeback, and how this incredible turnaround actually happened. This is it. This is the sequence that won the whole thing. First, the breakthrough moment. Running back Quinshon Judkins just powers his way into the end zone for a touchdown. Suddenly, it's 10-7. There's life. The stadium is electric. Then, with time running out, the kicker Andre Schmidt comes out and drills a monster 55-yarder to tie it up. Unbelievable. But they weren't finished. One final drive gets them into field goal range, and Schmidt does it again, nailing the game winner as time expires. Just an absolutely insane finish. I mean, that's really the only way to put it, right? A scoring burst that came from absolutely nowhere. An offense that was stuck in the mud, totally lifeless for 3 quarters, suddenly became an unstoppable machine. They executed perfectly when the pressure was at its peak. It was just a masterclass in how to finish a game. All right, on to part 3. Key playmakers. Of course, a comeback like that doesn't just happen by accident. It takes certain players stepping up and making huge, game-defining plays. So who were the real heroes behind this thing? So if you just look at the quarterback stats here, you wouldn't necessarily know who won. Jordan Love for the Packers actually had a more efficient day. More yards, a touchdown. But look, Joe Flacco for the Browns, he didn't light up the stat sheet, but he was a veteran, he managed the game, and he did exactly what he needed to do in that final quarter to put his team in a position to win. But honestly, the real game changers here weren't the QBs. For Cleveland, you got to start with the rookie running back Quinshon Judkins, who just hammered the Packers defense for 94 tough yards and got that all-important touchdown that sparked the comeback. On defense, linebacker Carson Schwetzinger was an absolute monster, flying all over the field for a game-high 10 tackles and a sack. And of course, the hero of the hour, Andre Smike, the kicker, hitting a 55-yarder to tie it, and then the game winner. That is legendary stuff right there. So, part 4, the aftermath. A game with a finish like that always sends ripples through the league. What does a stunning result like this really mean for the Browns and the Packers moving forward this season? Well, the most immediate impact is right here in the standings. The Browns claw their way to a 1-2 record, and that is so critical to avoid that disastrous 0-3 start. For the Packers, it's their first loss of the season, dropping them to 2-1. And man, that has got to be a tough pill to swallow after you led for basically the entire game. You gotta think this game could be a real turning point for both of these teams. For Cleveland, a win like this can completely energize a locker room and just inject a massive dose of confidence into your season. And for Green Bay, well, it's a harsh lesson in how to close out games, and it's one they're gonna have to learn from if they want to be a serious contender. So, I gotta turn it over to you. Who was your MVP for this game? Was it the running back who finally broke the seal on the end zone? The linebacker who was just anchoring that dominant defense? Or do you have to give it to the kicker with absolute ice in his veins? Let me know who your most valuable player was for this incredible comeback down in the comments.